Greed. It's a word we all know, a force that's, shaped history and shattered lives. But what happens when it goes completely off the rails? Today, we're going to break down the corrosive cost of greed and really get into how it can dismantle everything from our personal relationships to entire economic systems.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What is the true cost of just wanting more? It's a question that goes way beyond healthy ambition and gets to the heart of something much darker and, frankly, a lot more destructive.
All right, so first things first, we need to be on the same page. What are we actually talking about when we say unchecked greed? When you boil it all down, greed is really about priorities. It's a conscious choice to put your own self-interest, your own status, above everything else. And I mean everything. The health of your community, the well-being of others, you name it.
And you can really see that fundamental conflict right here. On one side, you've got the very foundation of any healthy community. Things like trust, integrity, caring about each other. But on the other side, greed's laser focus on self-interest, status, and personal gain. These two things just can't coexist. As one gets stronger, the other one has to get weaker.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. How does this whole conflict actually play out on a smaller, more personal scale? Let's talk about the price we pay in our own relationships. And here's the thing that might surprise you. Where does this all start? Well, the source material suggests that this intense, overwhelming drive for more doesn't actually come from a place of strength. A lot of the time, it's rooted in a really deep sense of personal insecurity. And once that insecurity takes hold, it kicks off this really destructive cycle. First, you start neglecting other people's needs because your focus is completely on yourself. Then, your own values and principles start to get a little flexible, all in the name of getting ahead. And the final step? A complete and total erosion of trust, the very glue that holds our relationships together. But this stuff doesn't just stay in our personal lives, it spills out. And when you zoom out, you start to see how these individual actions create these massive ripples that can throw an entire society off balance. You have to understand it's like a chain reaction. It might start small, with some unethical practices here and there, but that behavior starts to normalize financial recklessness. Before you know it, you've got a systemic risk that puts everyone in danger. And at the very top of that pyramid, you get large-scale calculated deception. It's just a devastating domino effect. And the fallout from that chain reaction is huge. It creates a culture where dishonesty is basically the norm, it leads directly to corrupt business practices, and ultimately it becomes a genuine threat to the economic stability that we all kind of depend on. So we've talked about these concepts, but to really get the scale of this damage, we need to look at a case study that makes all of this terrifyingly real. I am, of course, talking about the Bernard Madoff Ponzi scheme. It is probably one of the most infamous, jaw-dropping examples of unchecked greed in modern history. And really, this quote from the source material just nails it. This wasn't a case of bad investments or a market downturn. No. From the ground up, this was a scheme built entirely on lies. A complete fantasy world designed for one person's benefit. And the consequences? They were absolutely catastrophic. We're talking thousands of investors, from huge charities to regular people who'd saved their whole lives, who lost everything. See, the key to his deception wasn't just fancy math, it was psychology. He built this air of exclusivity, making people feel lucky just to give him their money. So that betrayal of trust, it made the results so much more than just financial loss. It was widespread, life-shattering ruin. So, we've gone from defining greed to seeing its absolutely devastating potential. And all of this brings us full circle, leaving us with one final and really crucial question to think about. So, where do we draw the line? At what point does that healthy, normal ambition to do better curdle into something that's just corrosive and destructive? That's not just some abstract question. Figuring out where that boundary is for ourselves is the real challenge here, because it's critical, not just for society, but for our own integrity.